Hello, my beautiful human. Welcome back to the She Did It Anyway podcast. I am so excited you're here. And this shakeup is going to be hopefully one that you are dying to hear because I have been in this creative funk for so long. And I know that so many of you have also been in that funk. And we live in a world where we're constantly creating content and constantly trying to pump out content. And for us to have fun with it, we need to get creative, right? But I want to remind you, or I want to highlight this idea of creativity is just like motivation, okay? You are not going to wake up every single day feeling creative. You're not going to wake up every single day feeling motivated. You're just not. And so knowing that, I realize that it's just really important to try to stick to trying like new things every day that spark motivation, that spark creativity. And so today I want to talk about how to get out of our creative funk, because I have been doing this as a trial and error for myself of just seeing like what works and what doesn't work. And the first thing I want to remind you is it's okay that you're not always in this creative flow. That doesn't mean that you're not made for this. That doesn't mean that you are, not creative always. That doesn't mean that your content is, you're not a content creator. It doesn't mean that, your idea sucks. Like, that's not what it means. And whenever you start having those self-doubts and start second guessing yourself, really remind yourself, like, I'm not supposed to be creative all the time. However, when you do get into that creative state and you find yourself in a creative flow, girl, you better ride that flow, ride it, because that is what I do. And I pump out so much content when I have that creative flow. So let's just dive in. So the first thing that I want to remind you is that you're not supposed to be creative all the time, and that is okay. Giving yourself some grace. The second thing is, it is so important to set up systems in your life that allow for things to function normally, even when you're not creative, right? And I'm going to use the motivation as the example a lot in this episode, because it's so important to remember that just because you don't wake up motivated doesn't mean that your daily habits just go out the window, right? Your daily habits are still exactly what they are, habits. And so continue to do the things that eventually will spark motivation. Same thing with creativity. Just because you're creative doesn't mean you're no longer posting, you're no longer showing up, you're no longer, going out with friends, you're no longer putting yourself in an environment that you normally would. And so remember that creating systems is so important, and it's not just about the systems, it's about the little habits that you're implementing along the way that is going to then fuel you back into being in a creative state. And so give yourself some grace. Really remember that your systems are really important. And so start creating habits in the day that are going to spark creativity. For me, it's journaling. Many times it's going for a walk. It's trying something new. It is going and scrolling on Pinterest and making Pinterest boards. So it's little things during the day that really help me in my overall creative flow system, right? Let's just call it that. So getting out of your own way, really remembering that you're not supposed to be creative all the time, setting up the systems, and then most importantly is forcing yourself to try something that is not in your daily routine, right? So having your habits are really important. Having your boundaries are really important. Having those routines are really important to just keep you going and moving and progressing. We're not aiming for perfection, we're aiming for progress, right? And so really remembering that it is so important to just add little new things throughout the day that will spark your creativity. If you find it hard to do it throughout the day, not a problem. Do it throughout the week, throughout the month, but set a goal for yourself that you are going to try something new. My cousins and I started this thing in New Year's, around New Year's, saying that we will do something together as a girls like day or whatever night, to help us hang out and bond and not do the same thing of just dinner or just drinks. And so one of our first activities we did was we got like canvas boards and plaster, and I know this was all over TikTok at one point, and we just designed a whole entire like pictures on the wall. The canvas came out so good. I mean, I'm biased because I think mine definitely came out the best, but it was so much fun, and it made me feel so energized and so creative, and it sparked so much creativity inside of me that I'm like, okay, what else can I make? When we were wedding planning, I did the same thing, and I bought a Cricut, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to, design all of these things. Don't get me wrong, I definitely didn't use it as much as I wanted to use it, but trying something new and doing something with my hands is so much fun, and it sparks so much creativity, which is the other point that I wanted to make, is that I realized that we sit behind a computer so much, or sit on our phone, or sit in traffic, or we're just like in this routine of just hiding behind something else, hiding behind our other routines, hiding behind our wake up in the morning, go to work, do all the things for our kids, get ready for bed, go to sleep, do it all over again, right? And so when I find myself in a creative funk, I actually force myself not only to do something new, but to do something that involves me to use like pretty much all of my senses. I will get magazines, I'll cut them up, I'll print out pictures, and I'll do a collage on my wall. I am forcing myself to just eliminate technology from just where I find my creativity, right? Because what tends to happen, and I have done this all like so often, whenever I'm looking for creativity, I used to call it market research, and I would go and spiral in my competitors on my competitors pages, right? And I'm like, oh, I'm just using it for inspiration, I'm just using it for creativity. And what tends to happen is that my creativity is now diluted, and I'm just depending on what my competition is doing to see if, well, is my idea creative enough, right? And so that's kind of the struggle of hiding behind the computer and using it as quote unquote market research. There's nothing better than just like getting out there in the world and using your hands, like all of your senses, and trying something new, and not doing it based off of someone else. It is literally your creativity and your mind. And so those are the things that really, really helped me step out of this like creative funk. And the biggest one specifically really is just reminding myself like, hey, I'm not meant to be creative all the time. And that is okay. That doesn't mean I'm failing at my business. That doesn't mean I suck at being a content creator. That doesn't mean that, I'm never going to be able to post again or show up again or have any like innovative ideas. That's not what it means. It literally just means I'm in a creative funk. And so I need to do the steps. I need to take the steps to help me get back into a creative state and a creative flow. And so I hope that this episode really helped you just, one, give yourself some grace and help you audit your systems that you have in place now. What are your daily routines? What are you doing, when you wake up and throughout the day and at night? Like, is there a spot that you can implement you doing something that is new that sparks creativity? I hope that this episode reminds you to use your hands, to use your senses, get out there. Don't just depend on the internet for creativity and new ideas to come. Like, find yourself in a quiet space, maybe outdoors, somewhere where is new, and it just allows you to be still and spark the creativity within yourself, not depending on someone else. I'm really excited, and I want to hear from you if you found yourself in this creative funk, and what are some of those feelings that are coming up, because I am almost positive that a lot of us have those same feelings. So DM me as always, and it would mean the world if you just took 1 2 seconds and left a review on this podcast on Apple Podcast. It would mean so much. Just share your honest feedback of how this podcast has helped you. What are things that you loved about it? And yeah, that would mean everything. Thank you so much. I love you. I hope you have an amazing day. Mwah! Love you. I'll see you next week. And don't forget, no matter what, she did it anyway.
You did it, Mom.